Welcome to Projecting on View podcast brought to you by Tulumide. And here with me today I have
Emmanuel
and Michael.
Nice to see you guys here today. What are you lot saying though? What's going on?
Yeah, well, good, man.
Okay, man. Thank you for having us, man.
Yeah. What's your Saturday like? Because I don't want this to be like some sort of like a question and answer. It's going to be a conversation. But what's your Saturday normally like on a normal Saturday? What's it like for you guys?
You know, I'm just getting into this routine of trying to go to the gym and work out.
Yeah.
You know, trying to recover from the Friday night.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah. What about you?
Bro, I'm just literally just same thing really, just trying to keep active in it. Like stay productive in my day, you know, like just try new things as well. So, you know.
And that then brings us to the topic that we're going to be talking about, which is growing up in an African household. I know a lot of us can resonate with this because we've all been like raised in an African household by African parents, and in one way, shape or form, they've actually molded us to be who we are today. What is it like for you growing up in an African household? Because for me, I was raised in Nigeria, so it's kind of like a bit different to people that were raised in the UK. So what is it like growing up in an African household?
I mean, like, you know, growing up in an African household, obviously just the only difference was just in terms of the environment. You know?
Yeah.
There's a whole difference.
Do you get beatings when you was growing up?
Of course, man. Of course. There's no even me being a good kid at the time. I mean, like I was still getting beats, but you know, to be honest, it's just something that I don't, you know, regret in a way. You know, something that I feel like as you said, you know, shaped me to be who we are today. You know, so I think
Because to be honest, I feel like sometimes I feel like the way my parents raised me, all credits to my parents in it, but I think the way they've raised me in terms of like sometimes I get beats. Actually not sometimes, I wasn't a bad kid actually, but it was like the things that I would do. Say for example, if I failed at school, I would get beats for that because obviously they had to pay for me to, like, we went to a private school back in Nigeria innit? So it was like they paid quite a lot of money for us to go. So if you failed, and I get where that was coming from for us to get beats. I feel like other than that, do you think it's something that should be done by African parents, or something that our parents should do to us just to like help us to be who we are? Do you think?
I believe that beats and discipline is right in all senses, whether it be cane or whether it be verbal, whether it be verbal rebuke and whatever fashion. I feel like it should be upheld. That's in the UK and Nigeria, because back home, it's, you know what the thing is, back home, because we schooled back home, so it's not a matter of, no one says, oh, we shouldn't beat a child because that's not the right thing to do. Like their livelihood is so different from ours. Like to them, being beaten is discipline, and to be fair, it actually whips them into shape because their reality is just quite different.
Well, here is one thing from what you just said now. I don't think beating a child is actually discipline. It's a form of discipline, you know what? But I don't think it's actually discipline in itself.
It's arguable.
Yeah.
Because one thing I'll say, this country doesn't take kids and refine them and turn them into men, into young women that can be independent. But Nigeria does.
Nigeria does. Yeah. If you live in Nigeria, you can live anywhere in the world. Yeah, definitely.
That's what they say. If you go back home and you come back here, you can survive.
Yeah.
That's the whole notion. So did I get beats when I was in Nigeria? Yes. Did it help me? Sometimes no. But did the whole experience toughen me and make me able to withstand pressures of this road? Yes. Now, this country doesn't do that. This country just pressures you, but you don't go for anything that upholds you to become the person you want to withstand things. That's why I do come in beating in Nigeria, and in some sense, I'm going to send my kids back home.
So
hey!
I
got a question though. Would you beat your kids?
I think to me personally, I think it's a bit of both, because I think that certain things that you don't need to tell a kid. Like if you tell them, they might not listen, but if they get that smart, and that's the thing. Like I feel like a lot of our parents beat out of anger, not because they want to tell us off. Right. Do you get it? So I think first thing is to like let that child understand why you're beating them, and then after that, to be honest, I actually would I'll beat my kid. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, would age be a factor? Sorry.
What do you mean by age? Would age be a factor?
Like in terms of like, so how can I put it? So
up onto the age
at what age would you say beating your kids is stops?
I would make it start as soon as they're not as soon as they're born, but I'll make it start.
I can't even wait, you know.
You know what? I'll make it start. I'll make it start very soon. But then
how soon? Like 1, 2?
One. Even before you're 1.
What, you're smacking a kid at 1?
I don't mean smacking, but you're gonna learn about the flick of the wrist, you know, the tap on the wrist.
Right.
You're gonna learn about the little spank on the bottom. You're gonna know about that because there are some things that need to shape into your character from a very young age.
You're right.
4 years old.
Yeah.
So when they're from 5, 6. I believe in this generation that we live in now, because there's so much social media and so many
Yeah.
distractions around,
Yeah.
kids are so easily influenced.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
people that have worked in the education system, we can see young pupils that go on the internet and look at all these rappers and look at
Yeah.
social media.
And they want to be like them.
glorify.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as a parent, I believe that now it's not about your discipline needs to come from a way of love and excitement. It's got to be a bit different.
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah.
influence the child. It's like, if I'm being honest, as coming from an African household,
Yeah.
I believe my parents only gave me what they had,
Yeah.
and they didn't have much.
Yeah.
So now with these kids, it's like I believe that we now need to have enough experience.
So
to
like,
know-
is like you're saying that we've taken from what they've taught us, and then now what we're like refining it and using that to like model our child or children to be what we want them to be.
in some sense, it's like what I'm trying to say is we didn't get. For me, I didn't get much when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't get much in terms of guidance and stuff like that, what I
Yeah.
really needed.
Right.
So for these kids,
Yeah.
we still made out. We were still okay.
Mm-hmm.
But with these kids, they need much more guidance.
Yeah,
so
because of
before
the
they
external
because of
pressures.
all the
And, yeah, yeah,
external
yeah,
pressure.
yeah, yeah,
So
point,
what
yeah.
I'm saying, that as a man, before our fathers and dads were just probably, they could be bricklayers and it was okay.
Yeah,
But nowadays, I feel as if it's kind of hard for you to be just one thing,
yeah,
because your child will now leave the house that you've provided for him and the clothes you've put in his back and you fed him, and go and look at another alternative and say,
Yeah.
oh, that influences me because that's more fun.
yeah.
What I'm trying to say as a parent now, I feel as if I now need to influence my child by my nature. It's a bit different now. You feel?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I
how I
get your
feel.
point. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I get your point totally, but I'm just saying that. Do you minutes? There's nothing to argue about that. It's not even an argument because you're seeing it from a different perspective as well, and
Yeah.
that's actually
Yeah.
true. And moving up from there, I feel like, what are some of the experiences that you've had growing up, either good or bad, that you still remember now, and you probably think, you know, this was a good experience, or this was like a bad one, or
I was a messed up kid.
do you know
Yo,
what?
you're talking to me
Like,
like you don't
some of the
know
things
me.
that I actually like about growing up with my parents and my siblings was the fact that we're very close with each other. Well, maybe growing up not with our parents, but with myself and my siblings, we are very, very close. And to us, it's like, and that's one thing that I feel like I will pass on to my kids as well. You only got you, like, your family will only have you more than anyone can have you. So I feel like growing up for me, my parents, especially my mom, she's made us to know, like, do you know what? Relatives that they're good, fine, but you only have each other. And that's why I can call my sister today, we'll talk for hours. I can call my brother today, we can talk for hours. And that connection kind of just, you know, that we just bonded because they've taught us to be in that way. And to me, I feel like that's a very good experience. What do you think about fighting growing up with your siblings in that? What was it like? Do you like fights or you don't?
I mean, obviously, me being as a kid,
Yeah.
it was always the
Yeah,
norm,
it
you
was
know.
rough still, yeah.
Growing up, you know, getting the fights and but eventually, like, always end up, just having that kind of bond where we just
Yeah,
laugh,
yeah.
make banter. And I feel because we're all grown now, so it's
Yeah.
like we appreciate, do
yeah,
you know what I mean?
that brings
So-
about that appreciation as
and
well, yeah.
It kind of does bring memories in a more
Yeah,
funny
yeah,
way because it's
yeah.
like we can look back and think, just laugh at the things that we used to do and things we'd fight about.
Yeah.
And, all of that is just what makes everything worth,
And the funny thing is,
memory.
with me, like with my younger sister, we would fight every day. We would, and right now, like she's like my best sibling. Like out of everyone, I would do anything for her.
Right.
But growing up, it was just like, why were we always fighting? Like I didn't even know, but like, and that's what you just said. It makes us appreciate what we have. That's a good thing. What was birthdays like though? What do you guys think about birthdays growing up?
You go ahead, bro.
You know what?
I mean, for me, birthdays was McDonald's for me.
Is it? Yeah.
Just growing up.
I ain't gonna lie, I was a spoiled child in some way.
Yeah.
No, I was kind of spoiled.
I was going Mayfair, like, where's birthdays in that?
Mayfair.
I only discovered Mayfair not recently, but
Yeah.
But when I was young, I got my fair share. Like as we all do, we have parties and stuff, and every
Yeah.
now and then, So childhood was okay.
I feel like with birthdays for us, even till today, my mom still does it. She cooks us jollof rice every time. And the thing is, right now I look forward to it. Even my brother, when he's at uni, he's coming on for that jollof rice. He would never miss it. And that's for us growing up. I feel like it's just something that maybe we don't see it, but now not looking back, like, do you know what? It was actually elite growing up, like with birthdays and all of this stuff. What about schools? Were you like that type of person that was always in school? Wasn't?
I was that kind of person because obviously, like, going back to the whole discipline,
Yeah.
like, I couldn't afford to just do anything.
Yeah, to mess about.
To mess about because if if you do, and the teacher calls your parents, it's beats when you get home.
Ooh.
Even one small thing, you know,
Yeah.
like, what did you do in school? Kind of approach, but it's just that kind of made me to obviously just toughen up in a way. So I had to do well. And I
Do you even know what with me, I feel like Nigeria is the best place to go to school. Do you know why? Because
I don't know that.
when you're studying, it's just that's the only thing in your head. You're not thinking anything else.
It's probably the most beautiful thing. And you know why?
No.
Because you know what? It's so natural. And you know what the thing is about going to school at night?
Yeah.
Is that you could have nothing, but you still have happiness.
Yeah.
You're happy, You'll play with a little bottle, like a Coke bottle, and you're happy.
There was no social media,
Yeah,
bro.
there
There
was
was nothing. There was nothing to distract us there.
It's true. I
even
think so
when
too.
we do have access to these things,
Yeah.
it still didn't mean much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
home, remember back home when you have to light a candle to revise. You wake up in
Oh
the
my
morning,
god.
literally
midnight studying,
Yeah.
bro.
Well, I
Midnight.
can't relate because I
Hey,
wasn't born. I wasn't raised.
brother.
you feel your pace, like you actually
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
it was fun.
Yeah.
It was really
I'm
fun.
not going to lie. That's like the best time of my life because it's kind of like shaped me because my friends, obviously, your friends influence you as well. So like the friends that I had back home in Nigeria were they were cool friends.
Right.
We're always studying, and it was more about competition as well. So you're studying, you've seen your guys studying, and I'm wasting my parents' money. I need to study. Even before we started talking about girlfriends, we were the last year of secondary school. There are some other guys that were actually chatting to girls, but for us, obviously, we're quite small, innit? It was just studying. School, church, home. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here, but it's in the UK for me.
Yeah.
So it was always like that, man.
What about social activities? What was it like? Were you allowed to go to your friend's house and have a sleepover?
Not back home.
Like growing up,
You know what?
back home he said no.
I mean, what was it like back home?
Back home was, for me, back home was punishment. But obviously, like we said, I needed it. But here, growing up there,
Yeah.
my welfare was a bit different because my parents are old enough to be my grandparents.
Yeah.
And all my siblings are at least 20 years older than me. So I'm the
Yeah.
last born. So I didn't really have the
Yeah.
staying at friend's house. I didn't really have any of that. So it was more of a only child growing up, despite me not being the only child.
Yeah. So you couldn't say to dad I want to go to.
No, I couldn't, because that's what I'm saying. He was like a grandfather. Like, we were in different eras.
All right.
So he didn't. There's a lot of things about this country that he didn't get, and he didn't understand.
All
He didn't
right.
understand that. Oh, someone cussed my mum, so I slapped him. And he'd be like, let them cuss your mum. Let them cuss your mum. Like, no.
I would do the same thing. I would definitely do the same thing.
You know what I mean? So there's certain things about that certain things as a little boy, as you're growing up, that you have to respect your mum's name or respect your name.
Definitely. That actually even comes from the African culture, because they've always taught us to fight for what we have, and that's one thing I picked from my family as well. Like, I don't care who you are. Once you mess with my family, you're messing with me. I will go out of my way to fight you. To them, they might not say it to us directly, but it's like this is what they're putting down, and we're walking in that footstep. It's just that sometimes we might take it way out of how they want it to be. Do you know what I mean? It's like someone says something about my mom. Are you, bro? Who are you? I don't care who you are. I will definitely fight you.
I mean, is there a certain? I mean, how can I put it? So it's like someone who just cusses your family,
Yeah.
but they're not in a stable.
No, that's different.
You think it's different? Yeah.
I think it was all when you were young, though.
Yeah.
I think from
definitely.
young,
Yeah, so it's a
so-
young thing nowadays.
Yeah.
So your mum's this.
Yeah,
yes.
it's like-
Whatever you say about my family,
Yeah,
you know.
it's your
Yeah,
prerogative.
but I feel like what we are right now is shaped from what we've grown up to be. So it's like our childhood actually shapes us to be who we are right now. So it's like if someone cusses your mom, like that's the end of it. That's it. That's it. Do you know what I mean? What about getting into fights? Do you ever get into fights?
Do you know what? I can't remember. I can remember the last fight I had.
Is it?
The last
Was you beaten?
physical fight.
Was it being?
I won. I had to make
Is
sure.
it?
I had to make
Yeah?
sure. Get that blowing. And all the kids were like, ooh. No, but I think the last fight I do remember having was I was in secondary school.
Right.
So that was I was probably over 10 years ago. I've got in a physical.
What was the last time? I can't remember the last time I had a fight. Actually. I remember secondary school. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did have a fight with some guy. What was it about? I can't remember. You know, some dumb, silly fights. You just use that for no reason, and
you know
but
what I mean?
but it's like for me, I feel like growing up in and tough things is because it's like when you fight, you're not fighting to kill. You're not fighting to like shank someone or anything. It's like I'm fighting you to let you know, like, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Compared to like how people fight here and then you. Do you know what I mean?
It's different. Michael, you're quiet, man. Or was your fight recent?
Nah, you know what?
Was you getting into fights though, like
Nah.
every single day?
When I was young, when I was small, yeah.
Yeah.
I was, but when I was in Niger, actually got into one fight.
Yeah.
And when we came from here, yeah, like
Yeah.
back in that era, I think this was about, when you're young, yeah, 8
Yeah,
and 9
yeah.
times, and you think you're bad,
Yeah.
man's a bad man out here. Whatever. So when I went home with the same mentality.
Yeah.
So I thought I was gonna fight my man based on me being a bad boy in
Why?
London.
Why no? Yeah.
And you know what? They beat. They beat.
Oh.
I got beat up real bad though, man.
Yeah.
Like proper bad. And from that day onwards, I thought,
There's no point
I'm
of
not
it.
fighting none of them man out there.
I remember one time back at college. Remember that? I think the guy stole your phone
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
yeah. No.
That's why till date I respect him because he doesn't fight. And that guy was trying to hype him up to fight, but he was able to control like his emotions and not get into fight. Do you think that's part of the things we'll learn from our parents?
You know what? This is gonna sound quite rude, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you gotta think of it this way.
Okay.
We go to school and we spend throughout our whole lives, even until uni, we spend more of our time out of the house
Yeah.
in society as opposed to our parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do believe that though we learn things from our parents, but things that shape our character into who we are is actually stems from society, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, like, Nigeria changed me and it molded me.
Yeah.
That's my truth though.
Yeah.
Now my parents had the good intention to send me there, but Nigeria fundamentally is a place that did that.
Emmanuel, would you send the kids to Niger?
You know what?
Yeah.
If I'm honest, probably no. Only reason why, because
Yeah.
if I was to send my kids to Nigeria,
Yeah.
and they come back speaking Yoruba,
All right.
that would make me look bad in a way. 'Cause
Wait, what do you mean that would make you look bad? You don't want them to speak Yoruba?
I mean,
You don't know how to speak it.
I do, but because obviously I've not been like I was.
Yeah, you
I
haven't-
haven't been there, so it's like to be able to speak
Yeah, but
it fluently.
I've a mix of both. Is that not a good thing?
I mean, it is good, but I'd like to obviously be able to speak it as fluent as.
So
A-
you
a
think
person would.
if
So,
you're
you know,
you're thinking if your kids were in Niger and they came back speaking Yoruba, they'll probably cuss you.
They
Yoruba.
may, yeah. And they may say some things that I may not know.
Like, what do you-
some proper, there's some Yoruba languages that how can I put it? So let's say kid like me, for example.
Yeah.
So me being born here and my parents are Nigerian.
Yeah.
There's some like languages that that you know, and there's some that you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's say if that was the case with my kids, right, and they were just, like, for example, they cuss me out
Yeah.
and say some strong, Yoruba
Words. Yeah.
word, and it's like you think but you don't know what it actually means.
Yeah. You try to figure it
Try
out,
to
but you
figure
can
out-
look at her face like, what did you say?
And it still can't continue.
Dad, Monica, shut up.
But I think essentially, like it would be good to send my kids to Nigeria just for them to just expose,
Yeah.
just to show them what it's like, and just to obviously give them a glimpse of
Yeah. Of
the
I
heritage.
think with me, I feel like, to be honest, I wouldn't let them live there by themselves. In terms of like, I want to protect my kids to the point where they become independent.
Right.
So if sending them back there, who am I sending them to stay with? Is it families? Is it like friends?
But
Yeah.
You know what? That in a way does more harm than good. And the
That's
truth-
what I'm saying.
it
That's
does
what I'm
more-
saying.
no,
That
it does more harm than good when we want to make sure our children are very comfortable when they're in Nigeria. Because the whole sense for sending them back
Yeah.
is to get them to a place whereby they're not.
I'm talking about, who am I sending them to stay with?
Mhm.
I don't know. The way you will treat something that belongs to you
Definitely, yeah.
is different from the way someone else will treat that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that, like, if I'm sending my kids to Niger, who am I sending them to stay with? Am I sending them to stay with uncles and aunties that I haven't seen in years? How are they going to treat my kids? That's just the only problem that I have with that. So
and I feel with that it can be dangerous in a way.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if
yeah.
you was just to leave them for like
yeah,
let's say
because
2 years.
exploitation, they could be exploited as well.
That's you know what the thing about Nigeria is, yeah. Everyone as long as we're here
Yeah,
and they're there, they will always exploit us.
yeah,
family, friends, whatever, because
Right.
they're in their mind we're doing better. So
Yeah.
even if it's the person you trust,
Yeah.
you're still gonna send the same amount of money as you're gonna send a far relative to take care of your child,
Yeah.
because their expectation is taking
Yeah.
care
You're
of your child.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying, so it's still the same game. But what I realized is when I came back to London
Yeah.
and I was bumping into friends that have got ships and came back, they were worse. 'Cause
Yeah.
they were worse, yeah, because
Yeah.
they had everything on a platter. So they left, they were in London, they had everything easy, and they went back home.
Do you
and
think?
they
Do you
had
think
everything
for them it
easy.
was like freedom?
To them it was more freedom. It was worse because they went to these schools that cost like 2 million naira per
Yeah.
term,
Wow.
as opposed to mine was like 25,000-30,000 per
Yeah.
term. So even those schools were so prestigious that you couldn't beat the kids.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
bad it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You
They
can't
actually
even-
schools
you
like
can't
that.
even-
Actually.
you can't
Yeah.
even beat the kids, so they didn't really learn anything. So my thing is, me going through everything that I struggled, right or wrong, it helped me.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like people who've been shipped, like you said, they say it's they either come back better or come back worse.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's two
yeah.
extremes to that. So it's
Apparently, I think that there's a story I had about some girl that got shipped to Niger, and she was putting it into a boarding school.
yeah,
But obviously, she was messing about in London, and our parents decided to take her back to Niger. And for some reason, that gave her more freedom, and she got pregnant back home there. So like,
So when you mean freedom, you mean like to do anything they
and
want.
that's
they
what I'm
wanna
saying.
do.
Like, it depends on where you're going, and it depends on who you're staying with.
But this is what I want to say something, innit?
Yeah.
I think this is good. This goes back to the African household,
Yeah.
because many African households are very strict for no apparent reason. I think it's due to protection. They want to be strict, but they go about it the wrong way. And in my opinion, that's why I be real. A lot of kids, a lot of us that went to uni, we should have really gone to uni from home. But everyone wanted to have so much of this freedom.
Yeah,
that
and
we
then
wanted to leave away. So every man, instead of every man to stay home and save bread and
Yeah.
get with the times and enjoy
to
their life.
be honest
A
with
lot of
you,
man left just
to be honest,
to
yeah.
be free.
Yeah. To
So-
be honest, like, all my friends that I know that live in London went to uni outside of London.
Yeah, and it doesn't make
Pretty
any
much.
sense.
Yeah.
Because you live in London
Yeah.
and you go so far, but why are they going so far away?
So you want to party, fam?
yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, but that's
So
yeah,
that's one
yeah.
thing, that's one
If
thing.
that has
Makes
been, yeah,
That's one thing that I don't like about how I grew up as an African household.
yeah,
Because the fact that, in other backgrounds, the Asian community, white community and stuff
Yeah.
like that, they give you a chance to breathe and a chance to...
you think so with the Asian community as well?
No, they do. They do. No,
Well, I don't know
but
that much,
the
but I
way-
just feel like they have
way
the same mentality as us.
They do, but the way they go about it is different. Like, I don't know. You see how they more build communities and build things and stick
Yeah.
together?
Yeah,
There will always be that. So, for example, Imran can probably go out for one night and just do a madness, but when he comes back, he knows that he's nurturing something when he gets home.
Mm.
It's either a family business or something. That
Yeah,
it's something that's
definitely,
building together,
yeah.
basically. You feel me? But African household, I think it's a bit different. A lot of it's based on my way. I say this because I have the best in mind, and we have to follow it. We don't have a reason why, and we don't really have much of a say because they're meant to know better.
So you think it's based mainly on their ego as parents?
I won't say ego, but I feel like we get to a point where I think they get to a point that they know best.
Mm.
And I feel in this country unless you get with the times in this country, what you know may
It's
not be the right
outdated,
thing.
yeah.
Like, I believe, for example, even working with kids like Emmanuel will testify, like, you really don't know nothing until you actually don't know nothing about a kid. You can't really appreciate a child, or maybe you won't even appreciate your own child properly until you go into a school and you see the behavior of other children.
That's right.
And that's the truth.
And it's one thing that they would exhibit a different behavior at home and then go to school and
Of
exhibit
course.
another.
And that's basically so. That when we're talking about, I know you need to go into confidence. As
Yeah.
I'm saying, I feel a lot of it has to do with that. It depends on the freedom and the confidence that is placed in a child from our parents.
All right. Okay. All right. So I think we'll just like touch on a few ones and then we can like just wrap it up. So in terms of like training at home, like do you like get to cook? Do you get to like watch dishes and stuff?
I mean, it was pretty much the standard.
Yeah. I know you can cook steak though.
I'd be worried if you couldn't cook steak.
Man.
I
Yeah,
was
I
always
mean,
cooking steak.
I'm not gonna lie, that's my dish, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, like growing up, it was always, because I have 4 siblings, so it was always.
So it wasn't like they would, because I know that there's some African households that it's mainly the females that would do most of this houseworks and house chores and stuff.
Yeah.
But with you, was it different? Like they would you were you allowed to like do everything?
I know it
As
was.
much as your
It was my.
sisters as well.
It was my older sister at first.
All right.
But then obviously, it's growing up. It was then me because
Yeah.
like being the second oldest, it was to follow. So I think from the age 13 upwards, then that's when the responsibility of having to just.
Do you know what with Michael? I know you said you can cook, but I haven't seen you cook.
You know what? I wanted to be a chef when I was growing up.
Is it?
When I was in college, I wanted to be a chef. Yes, I used to cook food and I used to take to college, and I used to give it to people to eat.
Right.
To give it to the man. Then
Right.
I actually wanted to get
Was
into
it
food.
good?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I wanted to get into food. Like I still cook today. Like I do.
Do you know the thing is, this is what my mom said to me: if you're a man and you can cook, your wife is sorted.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
You actually sweat for life because
Yeah,
at times
it's
that
not
she
a
can't. Like, would you keep buying your kids McDonald's and stuff? Like, you can proper chef it up.
You know what I realized? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Caribbean men that I've come across. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this new age may not have the gift of the hand to cook. But like when you talk to the elders, from those that are 30 and above or 40, whatever, they all of them know how to cook.
Yeah, they actually
I don't understand
yeah.
why is it as we as African men have this deficit where we don't know how to do
It's
it.
probably do you know what I think it is?
Yeah.
It's probably the mentality.
Do you know? I think it's like you said. I think it's down to mentality and tradition as well.
Tradition.
That men are not meant to cook. When did I even start? I started cooking like when I was like 13, like yours as well. And this started when my sisters went to boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just me, myself. I said me, myself. So it was just me, my parents, and my little brother. So most of the time when my parents went to church, and they would say, "Oh, totally just like boil water," and then when we'll come, we'll make like eba or whatever.
Right.
And then because I wanted to impress them, I'll like do it, and I'll make eba. And then from there, I started to like just mold it up. And from like right now, I feel like I'm, even till a day, my sisters are really better cooks than I am, but I think I'm the best because, bro, if you eat my meal, it's a top notch.
Okay, so that means dinner's on you tonight.
Fam, all right, cool. Fam, no, what do you mean dinner's on me?
Took him a few seconds, but yeah.
Right.
So, in terms of like fasting and praying, like obviously I know we're all religious people and we've all come from a religious background as well. In terms of fasting and praying, do you partake in it growing up? Because I know, fam, if I'm saying fasting and praying, I know what I'm talking about. So are you do you guys partake in like the fasting and praying at home growing up? Or when did you actually had your first fast?
I can't remember when I had my first fast.
So you don't fast?
I fasted when I was young, but I was forced to. That's not really a fast. I was forced to.
I could say that too.
Yeah, I'm a child of a pastor.
Yeah.
You know?
But do you know what mine?
Yeah, I was like my dad. I was my dad's handbag.
So when he's fasting, you're doing
everything he's doing, I'm doing, whether I like it or not. You know. So
yeah,
that was it.
Do you know what? With mine, I feel like from the age of 7 that I can remember, when we do, like, my dad will make us fast every weekend, innit? But here's the part that actually pisses me off. We're meant to break the fast at 12 o'clock. But my dad will start praying at 12. Why can't we start praying at 11:30 so we can finish up at 12? Like we can go and eat. And he's like, when he start praying, he's not like he's going straight into that prayer. So we start to sing from hymns, and then everyone starts to like what you said. You sing what song? You sing another, then the other sing. Like it comes to that point I would literally just slip off, and then before we know it, it's like 1:30, and I'm thinking, and to be honest, I feel like that kind of like, even though we're forced to fast them days, but I feel like that's also part of the things that kind of like shaped me. Because to be honest, like the times I've done a 3 days fast, obviously that was growing up like back in Nigeria as well. But I feel like that's also something. How often do you fast now though? Like right now growing up, how often do you fast?
I fast at least twice a month.
Okay.
So sometimes it's 3 days. Sometimes sometimes it's 3 days.
Pastor Michael.
Don't say that. Sometimes it's 3 days. Very rarely it's 5. Longest is 7.
Okay. I think. What about you, Manuel?
If I'm honest, I can't. I remember the last time I fasted was probably about. I think it was probably last year. I can remember, and the longest I've done is, if I'm honest, probably 2 days.
Well, I feel like with me, I try to fast every first day of the month. Just to like put the month, like commit that into curtains.
You know what? I feel like what's fasted for? Because you can say, like for example, when I did a 7-day fast, it wasn't necessarily to become the most spiritually woke person.
Yeah.
But it was for the purpose of breaking a habit.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
So I know there are certain habits. Let's say, alright, cool. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is go on Instagram.
Yeah.
So the 7 days meant that for whole 7 days you don't watch certain things, you don't
Yeah.
do certain
You
things,
don't go on social
because
media,
I'm forming myself in trying to use them 7 days to gather myself into a habit whereby when I am eating, that I can still maintain this new habit that I found.
Yeah. So do you not then think that growing up in an African household has helped you to get to that point where?
No. You know what? It sounds like I'm dogging African household. I'm
Yeah.
not. It's just that African household helped me in everything. I feel like
Yeah.
the best help I could get from a African household, my parents, and I love them to bits, was them to send me back home. Because that's the thing. I can't base my growth or growth in general based on one thing. It has to be a
It has to be, yeah,
everything.
of
Like
everything,
the
yeah.
people I meet, the people I saw. Like it's if we start to talk, it's a long thing. You feel
Yeah,
me? So
yeah.
everything together. Like I used to go when I was in Niger. I went up to the mountain with a guy and he used to fast, and we carry up. You know, Isaac,
Yeah, I
when he
used
say,
to do that as well.
Yeah, we go
I
up to the
had
mountain
friends that would
and
go to pray on the
past the
mountain.
Hunsu. Yeah, we go up to the mountain and literally we go there and we take all our stuff, the water, everything, and I'll be there and we'll be praying and we'll be fasting up there. And even them times I'm like, this is all long. But now that I am training to be a minister, I look at them like, wow, like there were seeds that were being sown that I didn't see from them. So now I look back and I'm like, okay, so now I take certain aspects from his training, I take certain aspects from here to help me. So I think it's a bit of everything.
Yeah. I feel that's actually deep still.
I mean, I feel like even as young, there's some things that we, even as from a young age, we go through things and we like kind of think,
Yeah.
why do we go through? But then as we go older, we can look back and think, yeah.
Moving forward now, do you think, is there anything that you feel like, you know what, if I didn't start having my kids or if I start a family, this is what I'm going to bring in from my parents or from from where I've grown up. I'm bringing this, I'm introducing this.
My father taught me the best thing, character. As long as I know my father, there's never been a day that I didn't wake up in the middle of the night and see him praying or read the Bible. You feel character. He don't change.
And it's just constant.
Look, when they say, when you see, I used to think he'll be like, don't sleep around. I'll be like, how you saying you don't sleep around? You got 5 kids though. How you don't sleep around? Like, I know you back in your day. And the thing is, I never used to get it until like Big Bro would be like, read the Bible all the time, read the word. Because the word is the renewing of your mind. So when my dad says these things and I don't get how you say that, but you moving like you tempted though. He read it so much. I don't think you could, because he was that much into it. So what I'm trying to say is character.
So that's something you're
That's one
definitely
thing.
like.
His character inspires me to have as much character as I can have, so that one day my kid can say, you know what, I learnt from my father's actions. His actions spoke louder than whatever he said.
Yeah, what about like getting your kids to pick the remote and you just sitting back?
I'll do that too. That too. That's the best part.
Wait, I didn't get that part. What?
You get your
when
kids
they
to
call
get.
Yeah, say it.
So you're sitting downstairs. The remote is just right in front of
Oh,
you,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you have
yeah.
to call your child to come pick you up.
No, honestly, do you know what? I think that would be unnecessary for me to do that to my kids.
Is it?
Because it's like, because if that was me,
Yeah.
I mean, I would hate that. So
You know
I
what
would,
the thing is?
Yeah.
You have to, because it's African tradition.
You have to pass it on.
It has to be passed on. Like, you know what?
I mean, they'll think, is it necessary? But what if it becomes a thing that they kind of hate you for
I'll be real.
because of the African tradition?
See, the thing is,
Yeah.
because I'm African and because I'm your parent, man's allowed to do as man please. You
That's the
understand?
thing. I've seen some memes on Instagram where people are like, I can't wait. My body is itchy. I can't wait to have.
Yeah, as in, you know what,
I can't wait to send to the shop.
the first day that you go. You know what? Sometimes, see, when I was in Nigeria,
Yeah.
they would give us a morning breakfast. They'll
Yeah.
give you.
Did you go to a
cane.
boarding school there?
Boarding school?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So they give you, wake up in the morning, you go in, and just because they'll beat you, just
Yeah.
because, just preparing you not to mess up.
Yeah.
So they'll wake you up with 2 strokes
Yeah,
of
that
cane.
yeah, we get that too.
I'll do that for my child the same way. As soon as
I
you
feel
go,
like
just for fun.
Do you know what I think?
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't want to do that.
No,
I
but
wouldn't
do you know
take
what-
it
do
to
you
that
know-
level.
do you know what it
makes
is?
me sound proper wrong, innit? It
No,
doesn't
but-
be that bad, but I'm gonna do something.
No,
little, you know.
Do you know what I think here? Even like I mean, do you think that can still run in the decade we are in right now, moving forward? Do you think that it can still apply what we were growing up with and the discipline that we had to face,
Do you know?
especially with social media and everything?
I feel, and that's another mighty topic that I think we should talk about at some point, because do you know the thing is, there has to be a balance. In as much you want to raise your kids as a parent, you also need to raise your kids as a friend, because if you don't understand your kid as being an individual on his own,
Right.
you might miss certain things. There's certain things that your child will come back from school and want to tell you about, but then you're missing out because he's looking at you from that point of view of like, that's my dad, I can't chat to him about these certain things. And that's where we kind of like have to come in now, because we've seen this with our parents, but we wouldn't want that same thing to repeat itself. That's why we have to like bridge that gap and then make sure that it doesn't repeat itself.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, do we, like, how can I put it? It was my
I feel like I get what you're saying with social media,
not even with social
and
media.
that's why you have to keep up as well as a parent. If your child is going on, I don't know what's gonna come, what media is gonna come in the next 10 years. You need to be on that too. Follow him, like his picture.
But
you know what?
yeah.
I
Go on.
get spiritual. You know when Paul said, I had to be all things to all people so
Yeah.
that I can win them for the work of the Lord,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that as a parent, we have that same responsibility too,
Yeah.
because the first ministry that we have is the family.
Yeah, he's the
That's
family.
why it
yeah,
says you
yeah,
can't actually be a minister if your house is not in order.
yeah, yeah.
So you have to become anything that needs to be done to get through to your child.
Mm-hmm,
First and foremost, that's your first
and I
ministry.
feel like that's what we miss it, because if you're not getting that point, like just what you said, if you're not ministering to that child,
Yeah.
and that's not just you saying go to bed, like just
That's-
have a conversation, know who this child is as
it's-
as a
it's much
person,
more, it's like-
and then from there, like the external pressure would not really have a lot, because he knows where it's coming from.
Mhm.
And that's why for me, I feel like it would have been easier for me to like mess about when I came to this country, but because of what I had coming from Nigeria, that kind of like shaped me to be like, you know what, I'm not falling for this. I'm not falling for that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's some things that you went through even as a kid that you couldn't talk to your parents about.
But they are.
Yeah,
But you know
yeah.
what? You know why I'm scared for this generation is because working in mental health shows me that a lot of the problems are that these kids aren't as tough as we are or the people behind.
Yeah.
us. That's the truth. Because you see stuff like my pops didn't take me to the cinema.
Yeah.
There's certain one-to-one interaction that I didn't get with my child that these kids are. These kids are admitted to hospital or they're seeking attention.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see them in hospital, and you see them in hospital, and you're like, well, there's nothing wrong. You don't. This
You don't
problem-
look. Yeah. You don't look
there's-
like you.
don't-
Yeah.
You don't need to be here in this, and you need some sort of placement arranged for you, but you don't need this.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I do believe that because they're not strong, there's a lot of work there's a lot of one-to-one interactions that we have to go through and take them to cinema. We have
Yeah.
to spend father and daughter time together
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
it's important.
intentionally have to work on my daughter's homework with her.
Yeah.
You know, maybe mum's doing it, and you know that's how you set up. But you now need to sometimes to do that to create those moments and to build those memories. Because if that's not there, okay, well, they're not strong enough to be. They're not like us. So we're like, you know what is, and we learn and we're cool.
Yeah.
They're
That's
not,
it. Yeah.
That's not the generation we're in anymore. You feel me? Because that's it.
At this point, we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you do follow us on all our socials, Projecting on View podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, Instagram. And until next time, do have a good one.